Did what just happen actually happen? What is up, guys? Spoiler review right off the gate, okay? If you have not seen Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 8, do not watch this unless you just don't care about spoilers. That has to be said right now. This is freaking huge, okay? So, anyway, Luke fucking Skywalker was in this episode. I need to process this. This is crazy. Like, I remember a couple of days ago, I think there was a lot of rumors going around that this last episode was going to go for broke. Speculation that we might see some Jedi. And the first thing that came to my mind was there's no way in hell they're going to put Luke Skywalker in this episode. It's just too good to be true. There's no way they could ever possibly do that. They freaking did it. They did it. The millions of cries about Last Jedi have been silenced now because they actually put Luke Skywalker post Return of the Jedi in this episode. And it was a damn good episode. I just need to process all this. As you guys know, I have not been reviewing any of The Mandalorian. I jumped on season 1. I was like, it's okay. It's not bad. And maybe it's just for me, but when I watch an episode week to week, I have the worst memory ever, first off. And for me, I like binge watching TV because it's all just right there. You're processing everything in real time. And I think that was part of the problem with watching, the first season. And then when I went back and watched it all before season 2 started up, I loved it a lot more. So with season 2, I waited a few weeks before I even jumped on. I think like after episode 4, then I finally jumped on so I could catch up with 4 episodes. And then before this last episode, I went back and rewatched the last 2 episodes. That's just how I work. And it just made this episode that much better. But this episode, I mean, just the fastest 45 minutes I have ever watched in my entire life. Just guns blazing. The entire mission of this season was to get Grogu back. We now know that his name is Grogu. Catchy? And by the way, I've talked to people, I guess you could call them just casual movie fans and even casual Star Wars fans, and they thought that Baby Yoda was actually Yoda. And I had to tell them, no, that's not Yoda. This is post Return of the Jedi. Yoda's already dead, okay? And I'm sure some of you guys, some of you big Star Wars fans have had this same thing because it is confusing to call a character Baby Yoda. And then Joe Sixpack out there thinks, oh, that's actually Baby Yoda. No. So finally they gave him a name, Grogu. But in this episode, they finally get to him. And I just got to say, I geeked out like crazy a couple episodes ago when Boba Fett was in the Slave One and he dropped the seismic charge and it did the delayed, the big explosion. And it was nice to have that little callback to episode 2. That's really one of the nice little things that The Mandalorian does. It is firmly planted in the Star Wars world because of guys like Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, who's just such a fan. Jon Favreau, I think, used to even like talk about Star Wars in like Swingers and stuff like that. Just other properties that he's done. But anyway, I want to cover this episode a little bit, but I really want to talk about like what does this mean going forward, now that Luke Skywalker is in the picture. I mean, of course, he's always in the picture, right? This is in the Star Wars universe, but we never thought we'd actually see the guy. So we'll get to that. But like I said, they're trying to find Grogu, rescue Grogu. And so you got Boba Fett and Mandalorian. They go to Bo-Katan and her crew for help. And Bo-Katan, she just wants the dark saber. And so they get to Moff Gideon's Imperial ship, and this is where really most of the episode goes into action, like full throttle. Right away, you're just in like stormtrooper elation. There's so many stormtroopers that our crew is fighting. Stormtroopers can't hit shit. Moff Gideon talks about these dark troopers, and at first I was thinking of Rogue One, but those were not dark troopers. Those are shadow troopers. Okay, there are so many different types of stormtroopers out there, but these dark troopers, they're pretty much Terminators, okay? Let's just go ahead and call it what they are. They're full-on machines. There's no human weakness. I love that scene where Mandalorian is fighting one of them. Just one of them got out, and they show just how dangerous these things are. You know, just one of them almost beats him. And so he's able to get rid of the rest of them, and you think, you know, they're gone into space. But then, of course, they come back later. But in the meantime, he gets to Moff Gideon. He fights Moff Gideon because Moff Gideon tells him he's going to give him Grogu, but then he blindsides him and fights him anyway. He actually beats Moff Gideon pretty easily. That is my one little con about the episode, because they've really built up Moff Gideon throughout this whole thing. For you to think that he's going to have some like Sith level skill wielding the sword. But like I said, Mandalorian defeats him pretty easily. But one little twist in there is that when he gets to Bo-Katan, he says, you have to fight the Mandalorian. You can't just hand her the Darksaber. That's what you're thinking the finale of this episode is going to be, which would be nice and acceptable. Okay, he's got to fight her so she can take the Darksaber. That'd be a fitting conclusion to this episode, right? And I was at the acceptance stage at this point, but then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, is there going to be like a surprise at the end? Is there going to be a Jedi showing up? Then all of a sudden, the freaking X-Wing comes around the bend, boards the ship, and immediately I was still in doubt. Even though I saw the green lightsaber, I saw Luke Skywalker right there, I was still like, there's no way that's going to be Luke Skywalker. They can't be giving us that, right? There's no way. And sure enough, it was freaking Luke Skywalker. And it's so awesome that Luke cuts through every single one of these dark troopers just like they're freaking butter, like they're nothing. You know, he's just a badass, showing off his lightsaber skills. But this is a Luke Skywalker that is just in full 100% control, fully trained. And we've never really seen him in this capacity before, you know, because in Last Jedi, they didn't really show off Luke's powers, his skills, not to the full level like they did in this. And oh my God, I was just freaking geeking out. I couldn't handle what I was seeing. I was just completely floored. Finally, they show his face. It kind of reminded me of the end of Rogue One when you see Darth Vader, you know, because he comes through the shaft there and he comes out. But then you see like R2-D2 coming up. Luke Skywalker's face in this. Did you guys get like Terminator Salvation vibes when, you know, that you see the T-800, you see Arnold, and it's clearly CGI. And I wonder if they did that because they didn't want it to be, you know, so realistic that it kind of takes something away from it. I don't know. I'm trying to just process this in real time. It was actually Mark Hamill's voice. You know, there's nobody else that could play Luke Skywalker, the young Luke Skywalker, except Mark Hamill. And that doesn't make sense because Mark Hamill is older now. But I see what they were doing. You know, you could take a guy like Sebastian Shaw. Everybody says Sebastian Shaw looks just like Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill is still alive, and I don't think Luke Skywalker, the character, got the respect that he deserved in the sequel trilogy, and I think Mark Hamill himself would tell you that. So I'm glad that they let Mark Hamill be completely in the fold with this decision. You know, there's no other way to do it, really, at this point. So what does this mean going forward? That's my big question. And I didn't even talk about that little end credit scene at Jabba's palace where Bib Fortuna is like holding down the fort, and, you know, Boba Fett just comes in and shoots him like it's nobody's business. He doesn't care. And he takes the throne, pretty much. But what does this mean going forward? Like, are we going to see more of Luke Skywalker in the future? Is the book of Boba Fett going to be Mandalorian Season 3? I have questions. I don't know. You know, he gave up Grogu to Luke. The mission has been accomplished. So Baby Yoda is with Luke now. And that's not going to change. So does that mean we're not going to see Grogu again? Or does it mean that we're going to see him again, and by that we will see Luke Skywalker again? I want to see more of Luke Skywalker's journey because there's a lot of uncovered ground. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of uncovered ground to a lot of these characters, you know? Even between the sequels. This episode was freaking amazing. I wasn't planning on reviewing any of these episodes just because of time. But after watching this episode, I was like, I have to run to the evil lair and discuss this episode. This was insane. I'm just blown away by this. I know it's a completely chaotic review, but I'm just like, this is geek fanboy heaven right now, you know? This is the stuff that can send us, like Star Wars fanboys, over the edge, all right? If you give us the wrong, we can really be a pain in your ass. But if you give us the right, then we'll be giving you the greatest internet love you can possibly imagine, okay? I'm sure everybody's geeking out about this episode right now. Trapped on an Island, of course. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this. Were you happy to see Luke Skywalker? Did you think it was justified to see him? Or do you think it kind of got in the way of the story? Really curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. Anyway, guys, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks where we talk horror all day and every day and on Fridays. Screw it, man. End the video. End the video.